Greeting, this is Howard, and I am presenting the third lessons of vocabulary words that are related to coronavirus. So I hope you can continue to use words that are applicable to situations like this. This lessons is not only beneficial, not only helpful to English learners, but the lessons can help students who are learning new vocabulary words in preparation for tests like the SAT, the ACT, the TOEFL, the IELTS exam, or academic work in the classroom. Okay, so I hope that you can get benefit from watching this amazing lessons that I'm trying to share with you. I hope it is amazing. So let's see what you can learn from this new lesson that I'm presenting here today. So as you remember from the first and the second lessons, these were the words that I presented in the first and the second lessons. So you have sick, symptom, social distancing, epidemic, pandemic, panic, quarantine, limit, virus, contagious. So these were the words from lesson 1. And from lesson 2, you have lockdown, cure, overwhelm, surge, protect, warn, shortage, ventilators, vaccine, and disregard. So I just want to briefly review what these words are. So sick, when you're not feeling good. Symptom, signs that indicate something is wrong. Social distancing, when you trying to separate yourself from other people. An epidemic is a moment, a time when something can happen to a region of a country, whereas pandemic can happen to the entire country or many countries at one time. So pandemic is bigger than the epidemic. When we have something wrong, we tend to worry, we tend to feel sad, we tend to react quickly. So that is a panic. Now, because we have an epidemic, because we have a pandemic, governments often ask people to go to certain place, to isolate themselves, to treat themselves, to prevent themselves from spreading new diseases. So that's called quarantine. Limits is like how much, how many, something that you are allowed to do or allowed to have. Virus is an organism, a living thing that can travel, but you cannot see them. You can only see them by a machine called a microscope. Contagious is when something that can spread, can infect other people. Lockdown, well, when you are at home and you lock the door and you close the door, you don't go anywhere, that is a lockdown. Well, when you are sick, you need to have medicine. You need to do something to make sure you are no longer sick, that become cure. Overwhelmed, well, you have a pandemic and you are panicking because you worry. So when you worry, you feel overwhelmed. Surge meant to increase. Protect meant to help you from not getting hurt. You protect your family, you protect yourself. Warning is to give notice something happened before. Shortage when you don't have too many of something. Ventilators are machine or devices that help people with breathing. Vaccine is the medicine that we need to prevent us from sick, to cure us from sick, to protect us from sick. And disregard, when you disregard, you don't listen to someone else's advice. Okay, so let's see if you remember these things. Nin does not feel well. She has a high temperature, which is a blank of not being well or healthy. She is so blank with a fever. Now she is taking medicine for her illness. So what can you put in here? Okay. So you see here, you see the man. The man is having a temperature. So he has a fever. Okay. You see here, he is sick. You see the man, his head is feeling hot. Okay. You see the water coming down from his head, the sweat. Okay. Some people did not follow the government's instruction to stay inside due to coronavirus. As a result, they decided to blank these important safety recommendations because they believed that they did not have to listen to the government or anyone. They felt this blank or stay in shelter make it hard on them in so many ways, such as not able to go to work or travel to a relative's house. So you see here, this is a stay at home. Stay at home is when you don't go anywhere, okay? Sometimes we say shelter in place. So shelter in place is stay at home. You stay inside of your house. Okay, you see here, these are family members and they go to visit each other. So family members are relatives. Okay, you see here, the man is trying to go to work. So when you have stay in shelter, you cannot go anywhere. You cannot go to work. You cannot travel to visit your family members, okay? Next, illnesses or sicknesses such as cold, flu, pneumonia, Ebola, and coronavirus are blank or infectious because the pathogens or viruses in these diseases can travel or spread to other people. In some cases, these illnesses do not have a way to blank or heal people from being sick. You see here, these are the symptoms of flu. This is the symptom of pneumonia. When you have pneumonia, your lungs is damaged. You have the infection of the lungs, okay? Government around the world have asked people to practice blank, okay? To practice blank at home or put them in blank at some places for weeks because the government want to blank people from this. Okay, so you see here, United States, countries around the world, okay? And you can see here, people are sitting separately, not together, 6 feet apart. You see here, and this is what they are doing. They're trying to clean the area from being infectious, okay? And you can see here, this is the dog. The dog mother is protecting the baby. And you can see here, these are the people that traveling in group. Okay, so let's see if you can be able to use the words here. So what word can you put for number one? She has high fever. So this, which is a what? Symptom. If you say symptom, you are correct. So because she has a symptom, she has high temperature, she is not well, you can say she is what? Sick. She is ill. Ill means sick. Not well. Under the weather. Okay? Under the weather means you are sick. Okay, well, so when someone say that you are under the weather, you are sick. This one, well, when you don't listen to the government, you disregard, okay? Lockdown. Lockdown is a stay in shelter. What can you put for here? Coronavirus are infectious. Infectious means they can travel or they spread. If you say contagious, congratulations. Heal. Which word from here means to heal? Okay, now, let me go back. Contagious means communicable, something that can communicate, that can travel, okay? So the next one is cure. When something is cure, is you can heal from it, you can be treated it, you are no longer sick, okay? And for this one, we will say social distancing. Put people into what? If you say quarantine, then you are great. At some places for weeks because the government want to what? Well, they want people to do this so they can protect the people from this pandemic. So if you have these 10 words correctly, then congratulations for studying, for remembering these words. Now, I want to share you these new words. Ease. Well, ease means to make something less difficult for people, okay? Restrict. When you restrict, you tell people they cannot do certain things. You cannot smoke. You cannot go outside. That's restrict. Restrict is a verb. Restriction is a noun. Lead. Let's say I'm a teacher and I'm teaching the class. I'm leading the class. I'm the leader. So I guide them. I support them. Another meaning for lead is that, let's say, John has $10. Howard had $2. Who has more money? John has more money. So he's in the lead of having more money. Okay? So when you are in the lead, you are ahead of someone or something. You are in the front. Well, when I have more money, I'm in the lead. So because I'm in the lead, I feel good about myself. So I'm positive. Okay? Well, if I'm not in the lead, I'm not a leader. Sometimes I feel mad, I feel sad, so I feel negative. So positive means feeling good, okay? Negative, feeling bad. Adjective, they are both adjectives. Test. Test can be a noun or a verb. Every day we take tests. Test for class, test for the teacher. To learn how to drive a vehicle, you have to take a test. Your mother or father put $10 on the table and your mother and father did not say anything about the money, but they want to see if you're going to steal the money without telling them or not, so they are testing you. So that is a test. A test can be a noun or a test can be a verb. You want to know if you are sick or not, you go to the doctor gives you a blood test to examine. After the test, the doctor bring back the results and the doctor inform you whether you are positive or negative. If you are positive, then you are sick. If you are negative, then you are not sick. Okay? Well, unemployed, when you are unemployed, you don't have a job. Unemployed here is an adjective. It's a past participle. The root word here is employ, and the prefix here is un. Un means not. Income. Income means money from work, and income is a noun. Supply chain. Supply chain is a phrasal noun because you have two words together. So a supply chain in business terminology, it means a network of providers that support the distribution of supplies, okay? Let's say you need glass, you need paper towels, you need toilet tissues, you need eggs. Well, someone have to provide, have to make, have to manufacture these supplies. And then you have to have people to deliver them. So without those, the supply chain will be broken and they cannot deliver the materials, the resource to the consumers. So when you are a consumer, You are a buyers, you are a customers. So customer and suppliers and consumers, you buy products, things that you need, merchandises that you need. So this is called the supply chain, okay? So let's look at this right here, you can see. Now, look at the math problem here. You see here? If I'm in the first grade, the second grade, maybe fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth, and if I don't learn about this math, do you think you can solve this math? Well, this is a math problem. It's very difficult. You see, you have to think about it. Now, look at these three words, three problems, okay? So they are very, very easy, okay? So do you need to think? No, you don't need to think, okay? So when something is easy, you can do without problem because you have the freedom to do it. That's what ease means, to solve something, to make something less severe or less difficult, okay? So when the government stops telling people what they cannot do, the government decide to ease the restriction. So now we have restriction. We cannot go outside. When the government say, oh, hello, everyone. Now we can go outside. Now we can have the freedom to go to work. So the government decide to ease or to make easy on the rules, on the laws, okay? If you are a parent, you often use your parental rights to tell your children or your child what they can and cannot do. So when you do this, you restrict, you limit your child's or your children's freedom. Remember, freedom is the right to do whatever you want. Let's say you went to a mall and, well, supposedly there was a sign that say, do not enter. Could you enter this area? Well, of course, no, because you have do not enter. So when you have that sign, you have restrictions. Someone restricts you. Someone does not ease your freedom, okay? You see here, do not enter. This is a restriction. This sign restricts you from entering, okay? So there's a group. The people in the group are traveling to England for a visit. They are from Mexico, so they need a tour guide to lead them around in England. A tour guide is a person who works for a travel company to lead the people around, to show them around due to their expertise, their knowledge, their training of tourism. So you see here, this is a map showing Europe, and in Europe, there are many countries like England. You see, this is England. Now, the group traveling to Mexico. Mexico is in North America, okay? So you see here, these are tourists. Sometimes we say travelers, visitors, guests, or foreigners. Now, you see here, this is a person. She is a tour guide. She leads the people and the people follow her. Now you see here, this is many countries. These countries represent the GDP. So what is the GDP? GDP stands for gross product, domestic product. Gross domestic product means the value of economic activity that a country produces. So how much a country can produce in 1 year is called the gross domestic product. The more this come out, the better for that country. So according to this group, which country leads the group in GDP, gross domestic product? So of course, the USA, as you can see from the data here. So you see here, because the USA, the United States of America, is the top, so they lead. It's the same thing that we have right now, because so many number of cases of coronavirus that are happening in the United States. So the United States of America is a leading country in terms of cases and death, okay? So as you can see here, this is a battery, and the battery has two poles. This is the North Pole and this is the South Pole. The North Pole is called positive and the South Pole is negative. So you can see here, this is a test, and as you can see here, the results show the test is positive. So when it's positive, you have coronavirus. Whereas when you have a test and the test show negative, you don't have coronavirus, okay? So look at the picture here. You see two teddy bears. They look very happy. They look very joyous, okay? So they are feeling positive. Now look at this person. This person may be feeling sad. So is this person feeling happy or sad? Well, from the picture, you can see this person can be sad, or maybe not, or can be happy at another time. So as you can see here, this is positive, this is feeling negative. And you see here, this person is looking for a job. So when this person is looking for a job, he may feel very negative because he doesn't have an income. He doesn't have a job, okay? So you see here, how does this person feel? Okay, how does he feel? He feels very negative. He doesn't feel positive. Why? Because the government has restrictions of what people can or cannot do during the pandemic. They do not ease people movement. They restrict what the people can do or not do. So he cannot work, so he cannot have an income, so he's feeling very negative, okay? So is he sad or is he happy? Does he feel positive or negative? Why? So he feels negative. He does not feel positive because he is unemployed. So the man is unemployed. Well, can he buy food for his family? Well, of course not. Why not? He doesn't have an income, okay? Now you see here, you see the train, the bus, the boat, the airplane. You see where the house is. You see the different things here, the boat here. So this right here is called the supply chain. You see the boat. The boat is bringing the materials to the manufacturer here. And at this location, they make the products or the merchandise. When the merchandise is done, they put onto the cargo ship. The cargo ship delivered to the truck delivered to the train may be delivered to the airplane. So at any time when this thing is broken, we have a problem. This right here is an example of the supply chain, okay? So as you can see here, this necklace, this is a necklace, it's also called a chain. Any part that is missing cannot connect the chain together and you cannot wear it. It will not have any value. Okay, you see here, let's say you're trying to make a notebook. To make a notebook, you need different parts. After you finish making the notebook, you need to deliver to different consumers, to different distributors. This is called the supply chain. So let's look at the food supply chain. You see here, this is where we live. This is our homes. So the supply chain comes from somewhere over here. Somebody is manufacturing the supply. Let's say you need to have rice. So the rice is being produced in a farm and it's going to a factory. And after it's being made from the factory, the rice is distributed to different parts and eventually go to the market, and the market go to our house. Any missing link will not work because together it's become a supply chain, okay? So let's see if you can understand these words and fill them in the blank, okay? So I'm going to read them for you. People have experienced or had a hard, have experienced or had. This is called the present perfect because something started and not finished and we don't know when they're finished. people have experienced or have had a hard time getting food or other supplies because companies have stopped making or producing them. Them mean the food, okay? In addition, delivery companies also have stopped delivering supplies to markets. As a result, this blank or network of distribution has affected many people from getting what they need every day. Okay, remember the key word here is network of distribution. After months of lockdown and blank, the government have talked or discussed about ways to blank people's movement so they can go to work and live a normal life. If they work, they can earn or have an blank to support themselves and their families. It will help them to feel good or blank instead of feeling sad or blank. In addition, the government do not want people from being blank or out of work for so long, which can blank people to have depression, which is a sign of illness where people can kill themselves, okay? So this is very long and confusing, but look at the key words. Please don't blank my freedom, begged John, who asked his mother, not him, I'm sorry, who asked his mother to let him outside and play because he has been inside of his house for 10 weeks. Lucy, Ross, and Nung are in a team. Lucy is the group's leader, and she can use her leadership to blank her group to have positive results. So look at the words here and see where you can use the word to fill in the blank. Look at the key words, network of distribution. So if you say supply chain, then you are correct. Now, you have a lockdown. So because you have a lockdown, you cannot do many things. So lockdown is a noun. You need another noun. So what noun go in here? If you say restrictions, then you are correct. Now, the government have talked or discussed about ways to blank people movement. So after months, after months, so this is done. Now it's over or it's going to be over. So they're going to do what? See right here, to. Here you need a verb. So you need to say to ease, okay? Next one, income, okay? If they can earn or have an income. Well, when you work, you have an income. Next, it will provide them, it will help them to feel good. Which one means to feel good? Positive, okay? Or feeling sad is negative. Now, in addition, the governments do not want people from being what? Which word means out of work? If you say unemployed, then you are correct. Which can blank people to depression? Well, you don't work, it takes you to, it direct you to, it might link to. So the word here is lead, okay? Now, please don't my freedom. Well, I'm a person, I need my freedom, I need to eat, I need to go outside. So don't restrict, okay? Don't limit, don't take away, okay? These are the synonyms of restrict, okay? Lucy, Ross, Nung are in a team. Lucy is the group's leader. She can use her leadership to do what? To lead, okay? So you can have these words, the same, okay? So to direct, to help, okay? So how many did you have correctly? So if you have correctly, you are perfect, okay? Now, I'm going to put the words together as a story to help you understand how you use these words in different situations. So you have ease, restrict, restrictions, lead, positive, negative, test, unemployed, income, supply chain. So you can use these words in different situations. So this is the word math. And as you can see here, this is Peru. Okay. Peru is a country in South America. This is North America. This is Africa. This is Europe. This is Europe. This is Asia. This is Australia. This is Antarctica. So the world has 7 continents, whereas Antarctica doesn't have people who live there for everyday life, but they may live there for 2 or 3 months for scientific purposes. As you can see here, this is an image of the international terminal in Peru. This is the Alejandro Velasco Astete International Airport. And as you can see here, this is a map of Peru, and Peru has many cities. And as you can see here, the Alejandro Velasco or Badasco Este International Airport is located in Cusco, Peru. Okay, so when you travel to Peru, you have to travel by airplane, otherwise it takes a long time because you have to go through the Mexico border in order to travel to Peru, or maybe to travel to the Panama Canal to travel to Peru. So to travel there, you might fly on an airplane, and this is the Boeing 747 being flown by Delta Airlines, which is a company in the United States. This is the Boeing 747 to see how huge, how big it is. Okay. And you can see here, this is an image of Machu Picchu, which is in Cusco, one of the cities in Peru. And this is an ancient civilization, which is known as the Inca. This group of civilization lived here many years ago during the 1200 period. I'm not sure the exact time, but as you can see here, without computers, without technology, they were able to build these outstanding, these breathtaking monument, this structure that they were able to live together during this time, especially in a mountain. How amazing this was, okay? Machu Picchu. This is another image of how they built their civilization during this time, Machu Picchu, okay? So traveling to Peru in South America. So this is a title. And I'm going to read the story for you. And as I'm reading the words for you, see if you can use the words, the vocabulary to connect with the words, so you can continue to understand these vocabulary words, okay? So there was a group of workers who were employed by Amazon. Amazon is a multinational conglomerate technology company based in Seattle, which is a city in Washington. And Washington is one of the 50 states in the United States of America. The group planned weeks and weeks before finally boarding a plane to Peru, a South American country with a population of about 33 million, on their once of a lifetime journey. I have worked so hard to save enough money from my income to have this trip, said Mr. Pei, who was born in Cambodia and has worked for Amazon as their PAN specialist. A PAN specialist is someone who worked to record, to register intellectual properties, okay? This trip will be a true test of my freedom where and when I do not have to to care for my family, declared Juliana, who was born in Mexico and has worked for Amazon as their supply chain manager. Tai, a group leader and a regional manager of Amazon, volunteered to lead this group and promised that he would have a great time while he and the entire group in the Western South American country. Everyone was so excited to embark, to begin on this adventurous journey. After flying on Delta Airlines Boeing 747 for almost 7 hours, the group landed at the Alejandro Velasco Astete International Airport in Cusco, Peru. Tai led the group to visit many places in Cusco, including an amazing and breathtaking visit to Machu Picchu, a historic landmark and citadel of the Inca civilization that was built around 1438. So, in 2007, Machu Picchu was voted one of the new 7 wonders of the world in a worldwide internet poll. Unfortunately, oh wow, this is so unlucky. Tai, the group leader, informed the team that he received bad news from the travel agency, informing them that a pandemic has taken place and they need to obey or follow the government's restrictions of their movement due to the government's lockdown. From feeling positive, about their journey, everyone began to build negative thoughts in their minds as the governments have decided to restrict everyone's movement. They will not ease these restrictions unless the situation goes down, continued Tai after sharing his news. What about if things continues to exist? Would we become unemployed? Asked Fact, who is a software engineer for Amazon. To make the matter worse, the group is now stuck in Peru, and they cannot get back to the United States due to worldwide travel ban between countries. A ban is a restrictions. A ban is a law, a temporary law to restrict, not to ease people movement, okay? So there were a travel ban between countries. Tai, a strong leader with courage, has asked his entourage to be strong and think positively so they could continue to fight for this battle and have a chance to meet their loved ones. An entourage is when you travel in a group, okay? So I hope you understand the story about the journey that the people travel to South America. Now, let's say if you can understand these literary questions. Well, after you read a story, you want to know if you understand the story. So, is this story true? When something is true, we say non-fictional. Or is the story not true? When it's not true, we say fictional. Or can this story be true? When something can be true, we say realistic fiction. So this story is called a genre. A genre is a types of art, a kind of literature or music, which is characterized by a specific form, content, or style. This right here is a genre, and this genre is a story in terms of literature. Literature is anything that you can read. Maybe you can hear orally from passed down story. So this literature here can be a part of the four genres, four main types. So it can be a poetry, drama, fiction, or non-fiction. So as you can see here, spring is here, spring is here, spring is here. Hear the birds, hear the birds. This right here is an example of poetry, okay? So then you can see, you see here, so if you answer realistic fiction for this story, then you were right. Congratulations, okay? So what is the conflict, okay? What is the conflict in this story that you are reading? What is the conflict? What is the conflict in this story, okay? So, so a conflict. So whenever you read a story has a conflict, okay? So a conflict in literature is defined as the struggle between opposing forces. So when you are reading a story, you have the good person and the bad person. Those two are the opposing. They do not agree with each other. So usually the main character, the main person, the main thing that is in the story that struggles against another thing or another force. So this is called a conflict. So this types of conflict drives the event of the story. So without it, the story would have no point or purposes, okay? So how can you prove that there is a story in this one here? So remember, reading connects to everyday life. So when police have to look for information, evidence, clues about a problem or conflict, they have to look at everything to prove that someone has done something wrong. Well, why the police arrest John? Why did they do that? So they arrest him, but then his attorney, well, before they arrest him, they found some evidences, they found some information to verify, to certify, to conclude that John has done something wrong, okay? So in readings, readers have to look for evidence to prove your argument when you're trying to answer. So this is called citing, okay? So again, what is the conflict in this story? What is the problem? So in this story, there were many conflicts, like the author, the narrator mentions about a pandemic. Well, because there's a pandemic, the narrator talks about government restriction. And as you can see, so when you have restriction, you could not do anything. The people were worried, so on and so on. So there were many conflicts, not just one. But so how can you prove that there's a conflict? So if you look at the third paragraph here, okay? If you look at the third sentence of the second paragraph, okay, you find the evidence, okay, you find the evidence to prove your point or your argument that there's a problem, that he received bad news from the travel agency informing them that a pandemic has taken place. So this is the main problem, the main conflict of the story, okay? So, but what is the main conflict? Okay, so if you say there was a pandemic, then you were right because you were able to prove, you were able to cite, you were able to locate the evidence here, just like the police finding the evidence. So if you said there was a pandemic, then you were right. So congratulations, good job, okay? Now let's look at this. Where did the group travel to? Which paragraph discusses about this? So you have 1, 2, 3. Three paragraphs together make a story or makes an essay, okay? So where did the group travel? Which paragraph discuss about this? Well, you can look at the title. You can look at the sentence here. You can look at the sentence here. You can look at the sentence here. These sentences indicate that when and where the story take place. So when we're talking about when the story take place, this is called the setting. The setting is when and where. So as you can tell here, the setting takes place in Peru, and you can prove that in the title. You can prove that in the first paragraph. You can prove that in the second paragraph. And the setting can also talk about when. So this text does not provide a specific or the exact time or setting. The narrator doesn't tell us that, okay? So we have to generalize because the story only tell about after flying and after spending several weeks at the airport, but the author doesn't give us the situation. Okay, so this text doesn't provide specific or the exact time. However, there are situations such as weeks after weeks of planning and after flying for 7 hours. These situations provide unspecified time, okay? So you can see here, so who is the main character? Who is the main person this story or the narrator talks about, okay? So in a story, you have the main character. So sometimes the main character is the protagonist. The protagonist is the person who advocates for other things or other people in the story. The opposite of the protagonist is called the antagonist. So in this story, who is the protagonist? Who makes things better? And as you can see here, because we have the problem is the pandemic. So the pandemic can also be the antagonist, which is presenting the conflict in the story. So who is the main character in the story? So the story mentioned Thai 3 times. In addition, Thai is a group leader in the story. Therefore, Thai can be considered as the main story in this genre. Okay, so how did Thai show courage in this story? So, what is courage? Okay, courage is when you have the ability to do something great. For example, Superman, Spider-Man. These are fictional characters, but oftentimes in the stories, they show courage by traveling, by flying to different dangerous places to sacrifice themselves to save people's lives, and they don't worry about whether they get killed or get hurt, okay? So let's say you have a mother has $2, and her children need to eat. Well, before she decides to use the money on herself, she used the money to buy food and feed the children, all of the money, all of the food, and she starves herself. She did not eat anything. That is courage from the mother, okay? So in this story, how does Thai, the protagonist, the main character, show courage? So where can you prove, where can you cite, where can you provide evidence, okay? So if you look at the third paragraph, first, here you go, the first paragraph, the second paragraph, and the third paragraph, the narrator tells how Thai behaves or act, okay? So you can assume that Thai shows courage by being strong, being calm, being informed. Well, because he is informed, he was able to tell the group in the second paragraph here that the news agency tell him something and he informed the team back. And he's very optimistic. optimistic because he's hopeful, he's very positive, and he's supportive. Well, see, the narrator doesn't tell how he is supportive, but we can look at how the narrator used the words to support the character, okay? Tai is a strong leader. Well, you are a strong leader, you have to be optimistic, you have to be supportive, you have to remain calm, you have to remain strong. If you understand Charles Darwin, um, who come out with this thing about the theory of evolution when he discussed about um, um, only the strongest survive or survival of the fittest. Well, when he's talking about, well, when you in nature, when you in a situation, you have to be able to be strong mentally in order to survive in that certain environment. Charles Darwin, okay, theorist of theory of evolution, okay. So how does Tai shows courage, okay? So Tai show courage by being strong, okay? So what point of view that does the narrator use, does the author use to tell a story? So when you write a story, when people decide to write a story, he or she decides to say, well, am I going to tell a story about me? Or am I going to tell a story about someone else? Or am I going to write a story to tell you how to do something? This is called the point of view. So the point of view can be the first person, second person, or third person. So when you use like I or we, you're telling a story about you. Once upon a time, I went to Peru. I traveled to Cusco. I'm telling a story about me. This is called the first person point of view. If I'm using he or she, if I'm using the name like Michael or John or the people or they or the group, then in this situation, I'm using what you call a third person point of view. So what point of view is used in traveling to South Peru in South America? So if you say first person point of view, then you are correct, okay? Then you are correct. You are amazing. So congratulations. So again, I want to go back to these words that we were talking about. Ease, restrict, lead, positive, negative, test, unemployed, supply chain. So if you understood these words and understand how to use them in everyday situation, then congratulations, and continue to use them. If you don't use these words, you will forget, okay? So if you like the video, if you have learned something valuable, please like, please comment, so I can continue to improve, and share with your friends, those who think this is beneficial, and subscribe. Okay, so if you do these 4 things, I am grateful, so I can have the courage, the motivation to continue to produce more interacting videos to have not only English learners, but for students who are learning in school, for those who want to continue to learn. So remember, education is a lifelong learning. So continue to learn whatever you can. So again, if you like what you have learned, if you like the video, like it, comment, share, subscribe, and thanks for watching. Okay.